The human mind, as explored by Carl Jung, is a vast ocean filled with layers, archetypes, and hidden meanings. But what happens when we learn to think beyond the obvious, expanding our perception into a psychological and spiritual fourth dimension? This concept, though abstract, invites us to look beyond the limitations of time, space, and conscious patterns. It is here that the invisible is revealed, the symbols that guide our lives, the messages from the collective unconscious, and the connections that bind our psyche to the universe. This journey not only broadens perception, but also transforms our relationship with the world and with ourselves. Thinking in four dimensions is a call to discover a new paradigm of understanding, where shadows become guides and mysteries gain meaning. Are you ready to see what once seemed hidden? Join us in this exploration through Carl Jung's revolutionary vision. The mandala, a tool for integration. When Jung began working with mandalas, he started with his own dreams and those of his patients. He noticed that during moments of crisis, the unconscious would generate these geometric figures as an attempt to restore inner balance. In practical terms, the mandala teaches us that tensions and conflicts are not problems to be eliminated, but necessary elements of equilibrium. Every line and every color in the mandala represents an essential part of our lives. Amid apparent chaos, there is an underlying order. Mandalas also function as practical tools for introspection. Jung recommended drawing or meditating on a mandala as a way to connect with the unconscious and explore the internal patterns guiding our actions. This exercise can reveal neglected areas of our lives or conflicts that need attention. For instance, someone who always seeks to please others might find in their mandala a predominance of muted colors or unbalanced figures, a reflection of their disconnection from their own desires. Mandalas are not only present in art or dreams, but also in nature and cultural systems. From spiral galaxies to the petals of a flower, the entire universe seems organized in circular patterns. This underscores how life itself is designed to evolve in cycles of integration and disintegration. Recognizing this universal pattern allows us to view our own lives from a broader perspective, as part of an interconnected whole. Thinking of reality as a moving mandala means accepting that there is no straight line toward progress. Personal and spiritual growth is circular. We return repeatedly to the same themes, but from deeper levels of understanding. By embracing this vision, we stop resisting change and begin to flow with life's inevitable transformations. The invisible threads that connect us. Synchronicity. One of Carl Jung's most revolutionary ideas is synchronicity, which invites us to explore a world where events are not simply connected by cause and effect, but also by meaning. Imagine thinking of a friend you haven't seen in years, and at that moment, you receive a message from them. This coincidence might seem random, but from Jung's perspective, it is a manifestation of synchronicity, a sign that your life is aligned with deeper, mysterious forces. At the heart of synchronicity is the connection between the mind and the external world. Jung described how our emotions, thoughts, and desires can resonate with external events. This phenomenon is not superstition, but a way of seeing the universe as an interconnected system. Recognizing these meaningful coincidences makes us realize that our lives are woven into broader patterns that extend beyond what we can rationally comprehend. A famous example is the case of the golden scarab. A patient of Jung's had recurring dreams about this insect, which symbolized transformation for her. During a session, as she described the dream, a golden scarab hit the window of Jung's office. This unexpected event broke the patient's rational defenses and opened a new door in her therapeutic process. Synchronicity is not limited to extraordinary moments. It also appears in the small details of daily life. The book you find just when you need an answer, the song on the radio that seems to speak directly to you. These moments invite us to be more attentive and to trust that the universe has a message for us. To fully benefit from synchronicities, it's important to cultivate an open mindset. This doesn't mean obsessively seeking signs in everything, but learning to listen and observe carefully. It also involves reflecting on what these events mean to you, rather than seeking external explanations. Ultimately, synchronicity is a deeply personal experience, a conversation between your soul and the cosmos. Thinking in terms of synchronicity changes our relationship with time and space. Instead of viewing the events in our lives as disconnected, we begin to perceive them as parts of a coherent narrative. This shift in perspective can give us a renewed sense of purpose and direction, reminding us that we are not alone on our journey. The collective unconscious, where we are all one. The collective unconscious is a concept that invites us to transcend our limited perception of the self. According to Jung, this level of the psyche does not belong to any particular individual, but is shared by all of humanity. It is here that the archetypes reside, those universal images that appear in myths, dreams, and rituals across all cultures. One way to understand the collective unconscious is to think of it as a vast ocean beneath the surface of consciousness. Each of us is like a drop of water in that ocean, unique but connected to the whole. This level of the psyche is not static. It is constantly evolving, influenced by both our personal experiences and the collective history of humanity. A fascinating aspect of the collective unconscious is its ability to manifest through symbols. Jung observed that people from different parts of the world, with no contact between them, often describe dreams or visions with similar elements such as dragons, serpents, or sacred trees. These symbols are not coincidences but expressions of the archetypes that form the foundation of our shared psyche. The collective unconscious also emerges in moments of crisis or transformation. When we face situations that challenge our identity, such as loss or major change, we often unconsciously draw on archetypes for guidance and meaning. For example, someone experiencing an emotional breakup might connect with the archetype of the hero, finding the strength to overcome their pain and be reborn as a more complete version of themselves. Connecting with the collective unconscious not only enriches our understanding of ourselves, but also helps us better understand others. By recognizing that we all share the same archetypes and fundamental experiences, we develop greater empathy and a broader view of the world. This recognition reminds us that, despite our surface differences, we are all connected by invisible threads of meaning and purpose. Archetypes, according to Carl Jung, are universal psychic structures that transcend cultural and temporal differences. These basic patterns emerge from the collective unconscious and shape how we perceive, interpret, and respond to the world. The fascinating aspect of archetypes is their ability to appear in our dreams, myths, rituals, and even daily decisions, as if they were recurring characters in an infinite play written by all of humanity. Each archetype fulfills a specific psychological function. The hero, for example, drives us to face our fears and overcome challenges. The wise one guides us toward knowledge and introspection. The shadow, in contrast, represents the aspects of ourselves we repress, but that also contain great potential if we can integrate them. It's essential not to confuse archetypes with literal figures. They are abstract patterns that manifest uniquely in each individual. The power of archetypes lies in their ability to act as bridges between the conscious and unconscious. When faced with a difficult decision, you might feel drawn to the warrior archetype, inviting you to act with courage and determination. On the other hand, during moments of loss or transformation, the rebirth archetype might appear, symbolizing the possibility of a new beginning after destruction. Archetypes in personal and collective life. Archetypes are not limited to individual experiences. They also structure the collective narratives of cultures. In religions, they take the form of gods and goddesses. In modern movies and books, they appear as protagonists and antagonists, reflecting our inner struggles. For instance, superhero films are full of archetypal representations of the hero, the shadow, and the mentor, resonating deeply with audiences because they touch universal chords in our psyche. Working with archetypes can help resolve internal conflicts and unlock potential. Jung suggested that identifying the active archetype in our lives allows us to understand our motivations and act with greater awareness. Imagine feeling constantly constrained by fear of failure. This might indicate that the shadow is trying to teach you something about accepting your imperfections. By exploring this archetype, you could transform it into a source of strength. On a practical level, archetypes can also inspire creativity. Many artists, writers, and designers draw on archetypes as an inexhaustible source of ideas and as a way to connect with their audience on a deeper level. This is because archetypes are inherently part of our shared humanity. Building empathy through archetypes. Finally, archetypes teach us to respect and understand the experiences of others. By recognizing that everyone has their own shadow, their own hero, and their own struggles with the sage or the orphan, we develop greater empathy. This understanding can transform relationships, helping us see others not as adversaries but as fellow travelers on the same path of individuation. Dreams, portals to the fourth dimension. For Carl Jung, dreams are more than random fragments of the mind. They are messages from the unconscious that connect us to deeper dimensions of reality. Seeing dreams in 4 dimensions means understanding that they do not merely reflect our past or present, but also offer clues about our future and hidden aspects of our psyche. In dreams, time and space function differently. A person might dream of seemingly disconnected events that, upon analysis, reveal a unifying meaning. For example, dreaming of a lost child might not only reference a past experience, but also symbolize the inner child that needs to be rescued and protected in the present. This ability of dreams to condense complex meanings into simple images is one reason Jung saw them as a portal to the 4th dimension. The archetypal language of dreams. One fascinating feature of dreams is their use of archetypal symbols. A dreamer might encounter a wise old man, a figure representing the accumulated knowledge of the collective unconscious, or embark on a journey through a dark forest, an archetype of confronting the unknown. These symbols are not literal but contain profound truths that, when deciphered, can offer guidance and clarity. Dreams are also a valuable tool for personal growth. Jung developed methods for interpreting dreams, such as amplification, where the dreamer explores the personal and cultural associations of the symbols present. For example, if someone dreams of a snake, they might reflect on what this symbol means in their life, from fear to transformation, and even examine its role in myths and religions. Dreams as a spiritual connection. Beyond their psychological importance, dreams also have a spiritual dimension. Jung observed that many people reported dreams that felt like messages from something greater than themselves, a connection to the collective unconscious or a transcendent realm. These luminous dreams can shift a person's perception of their life's purpose. Working with dreams should not only be analytical, but also creative. Some Jungian therapists encourage individuals to represent their dreams through art, theater, or even dance. By doing so, the dreamer not only understands the dream's meaning but also integrates it into their conscious life. For example, someone who dreams of crossing a bridge might create a painting of that experience, symbolizing a significant life change. Dreams and synchronicity. Thinking of dreams in 4 dimensions also involves recognizing their power to connect our minds with the environment. Jung described how dreams often anticipate synchronicities or future events, as if the unconscious could perceive connections that the conscious mind cannot. In this sense, dreams are not only windows into our minds, but also into the universe around us. The journey of individuation. The central process in Jungian psychology is individuation, a journey toward becoming the most authentic and complete version of ourselves by integrating all parts of our psyche, both conscious and unconscious. This concept is not about achieving an ideal self, but about embracing the totality of our existence, including contradictions, shadows, and underdeveloped aspects. The journey of individuation often begins with a crisis or a sense of emptiness. Many people embark on this process after facing situations that shake their sense of identity, such as the loss of a loved one, a drastic life change, or persistent dissatisfaction. These experiences mark the start of the hero's journey, where the individual is pushed to explore the hidden corners of their being. A key element of individuation is confronting the shadow, which represents the repressed or unwanted aspects of our personality. Denying the shadow can lead us to project it onto others, causing unnecessary conflicts. For example, someone who represses their aggressiveness might criticize others for being too harsh. Recognizing and accepting our shadow not only frees us from such projections, but also allows us to harness the power and energy it contains. Another crucial aspect is integrating archetypes like the anima and animus, which represent the feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche within each person. In this sense, individuation is not a linear process but a cyclical one. Each new stage of life calls us to integrate different aspects of our personality. For instance, a highly rational person might find themselves exploring intuition, while someone emotionally dependent might work on developing independence. Individuation also involves developing a relationship with the self, which Jung described as the central core of the psyche and the representation of wholeness. This journey is not just psychological, it is also spiritual, guiding us toward a deeper connection with ourselves, others, and the greater patterns of existence. This self is not the same as the conscious ego. Rather, it acts as an inner guide that connects us with the collective unconscious and a transcendent purpose. One way to access the self is through symbols, dreams, and deep meditations. These symbolic acts allow us to experience moments of unity and wholeness, even amid chaos. The process of individuation is neither easy nor quick. It often involves facing pain, frustrations, and losses. However, it is also profoundly transformative. Those who undergo this journey report a renewed sense of meaning in their lives, a greater ability to face challenges, and a deeper connection with themselves and the world around them. Practical steps in individuation. In practical terms, individuation can include activities such as working with dreams, analyzing repetitive patterns in our lives, and creatively exploring our psyche through art, writing, or music. Jung also recommended the active imagination, a technique that involves consciously dialoguing with the images that emerge from the unconscious. For example, if someone dreams of a mysterious figure, they might attempt to speak with it through writing or visualization, exploring what message it might be conveying. Individuation as a lifelong journey. The journey toward individuation is not a final destination, but a continuous path. Each stage of life presents new opportunities to integrate forgotten or repressed aspects of ourselves. Embracing this process reveals that true wholeness does not lie in being perfect, but in being complete. The psyche in 4 dimensions. When Jung invites us to think in 4 dimensions, he challenges us to rethink our understanding of time and space in human experience. In the physical world, time is perceived linearly, past, present, and future. However, in the realm of the psyche, these categories dissolve, and events can interweave in surprising and meaningful ways. In the psyche, time is not a rigid sequence. Memories of the past can influence how we live in the present, but may also be reinterpreted through new experiences. For instance, a painful childhood event that left an emotional wound can take on a completely different meaning when viewed through the lens of maturity. In this sense, the past is not fixed, but a dynamic field interacting with the present and future. The nature of space in the psyche. Space, too, operates differently in the psyche. Jung observed that in dreams and visions, physical distances lose their importance, and seemingly disconnected places can unite symbolically. For example, someone might dream of walking through a forest and suddenly find themselves in an unfamiliar city. These shifts in scenery are not random. They represent emotional and psychological transitions. Synchronizing time and space. One way time and space interact in the psyche is through synchronicity, a phenomenon that links internal and external events in a meaningful way. For instance, someone contemplating a career change might unexpectedly meet a person who offers them a new job opportunity. Such coincidences are not accidental. They reflect an alignment between inner and outer time. The cyclical nature of psychological time. Jung also emphasized that psychological time has a cyclical quality. Like the seasons of the year, our lives go through cycles of growth, stagnation, and renewal. This perspective allows us to view setbacks and challenges not as failures, but as necessary parts of a larger process. For example, a period of introspection might be seen as the winter of our psyche, preparing the ground for a spring of new creativity and action. Time, space, and the collective unconscious. Time and space are also intertwined with the collective unconscious. The symbols and archetypes we encounter in our dreams connect not only with our personal experiences, but also with the stories of past generations and the possibilities of the future. This means that exploring our psyche is not merely navigating our inner map, it is also participating in a collective journey that transcends individual existence. Recognizing this interconnectedness invites us to live with greater awareness and openness. Instead of feeling trapped by the limitations of physical time and space, we can learn to flow with the internal rhythms of our psyche and listen to the signals that emerge from it. In doing so, we realize that time and space are ultimately tools the psyche uses to tell the story of our transformation. Alchemy and transformation. For Carl Jung, alchemy was not merely an esoteric practice from the Middle Ages, but a symbolic language describing the process of inner transformation. In his analysis of alchemical texts, Jung discovered that ancient alchemists were, in a sense, projecting their own psychological journey toward individuation. The steps of the alchemical opus magnum, such as calcination, dissolution, coagulation, and sublimation, mirror the changes necessary for a person to transform their psyche and achieve greater wholeness. Leadat, in this context, represents the densest and darkest aspects of our personality, our fears, insecurities, and emotional wounds. Gold symbolizes the self, the wholeness of being which can only be attained by integrating all aspects of our psyche. The stages of psychological alchemy. This process is not merely intellectual, but requires a deep commitment to inner work, confronting our shadows and accepting our imperfections. One of the central elements of psychological alchemy is the nigredo, or blackening, a stage of darkness representing the initial dissolution of the ego. This phase can manifest as an emotional or existential crisis. In this state, the structures that once defined our identity begin to crumble, leaving us in a void that is necessary for rebirth. Though this stage is painful, it is essential to unlocking our hidden potential. The next stage, known as albedo or whitening, marks a period of clarity. Here we begin to reorganize the fragments of our psyche into a new form of balance. It is a time of reconciliation, where we learn to accept both our light and shadow. For example, someone who has lived under the weight of guilt might find in this stage the freedom to embrace their vulnerability without judgment. The final phase, rubedo or reddening, is the culmination of the alchemical process. It represents the complete integration of the psyche and the emergence of the self. At this point, the individual not only discovers their purpose, but is also in harmony with the collective unconscious and universal forces. It is here that the lead of our most painful experiences transforms into the gold of wisdom and authenticity. Alchemy as a symbolic map of transformation. The symbolic language of alchemy provides a rich and profound way to understand personal transformation. Jung viewed it as a tool for connecting psychological processes with the spiritual. It reminds us that the journey toward wholeness is an alchemical process, a deeply human quest to transmute the raw materials of our experiences into the treasure of self-realization. For example, the dreams of his patients often contained alchemical images, such as cauldrons, dragons, or metals being transformed. These images not only reflect internal processes, but also serve as guides on the journey toward individuation. In practice, psychological alchemy can be applied through reflection and analysis of our experiences. Every time we face a challenge, we can ask ourselves, what part of me is being calcined or transformed at this moment? This approach helps us see our difficulties, not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Ultimately, alchemy also teaches us that transformation is not a linear process. Just like the alchemists who repeated their experiments over and over, we go through cycles of dissolution and regeneration throughout our lives. This recognition allows us to embrace our imperfections as part of a larger process of perfection. In the end, it's not just about achieving gold, but about learning to enjoy the journey of self-discovery. Active imagination. Active imagination is a technique developed by Carl Jung to interact directly with the unconscious. While dreams are messages that the unconscious sends us passively, active imagination is a process where we take the initiative, establishing a conscious dialogue with the images, emotions, and symbols that emerge from our psyche. This method is not only a powerful therapeutic tool, but also a portal to the fourth dimension of thought. The process begins with relaxation and concentration on an image, emotion, or thought that intrigues or unsettles us. For example, if someone feels inexplicable anxiety, they might visualize that feeling as a symbolic figure, such as a dark fog or a wild animal. From there, the individual allows the image to speak, expressing its purpose or message. This dialogue can lead to surprising discoveries about our fears, desires, or internal conflicts. Active imagination is not merely an exercise in creativity. Jung described it as an encounter with aspects of our psyche that often remain hidden. Instead of repressing or ignoring our difficult emotions, active imagination invites us to explore them with curiosity and courage. This process can reveal parts of ourselves that need integration, such as the shadow or the animus. Active imagination for creativity and spiritual growth. In addition to its therapeutic utility, active imagination is also a tool for creativity and spiritual growth. Many of Jung's most innovative ideas emerged from his own active imagination sessions. In his Red Book, Jung recorded his experiences with this technique, creating a dialogue with archetypal figures such as Philemon, who became his spiritual guide. These interactions not only helped him deepen his understanding of the psyche, but also connected him with broader dimensions of meaning. The practice of active imagination also helps break the barriers between the conscious and unconscious. Rather than seeing these two aspects of our mind as opposites, we learn to integrate them into a continuous flow of creativity and self-discovery. For example, someone struggling with a moral dilemma could use active imagination to visualize the different aspects of their conflict and find a solution that integrates their conscious values with their unconscious impulses. Practical application of active imagination. In practical terms, active imagination can include activities such as writing, drawing, guided meditation, or even dramatization. The important thing is to maintain an open and receptive attitude, allowing the images and emotions to emerge without judgment. This approach connects us with our most authentic selves and allows us to transform our relationship with both our inner and outer worlds. Active imagination, in the end, is a way to co-create with the unconscious. By actively participating in this dialogue, we become the architects of our personal transformation. This process not only helps us resolve internal issues but also connects us with a deeper sense of purpose and possibility. In a world full of external distractions, active imagination reminds us that the answers we seek are often already within us. Thinking beyond the ordinary. Thinking beyond the ordinary involves opening ourselves to a world of possibilities that transcend the limitations of linear logic and conventional thinking. According to Carl Jung, this ability not only enriches our perception, but also enables us to interact more deeply with our psyche and the universe around us. To cultivate this skill, it is necessary to combine symbolic thinking, introspection, and conscious practice. Here we will explore some practical tools for fostering this way of thinking in our daily lives. Working with symbols. Symbols, such as those appearing in dreams, myths, or art, are portals to deeper dimensions of meaning. One way to practice this is by keeping a symbol journal, where you record the symbols you encounter in dreams, meditations, or daily experiences. For example, if you repeatedly dream of a river, write down this symbol and reflect on what it might represent: flow, change, purification, or emotional connection. Structured introspection. Instead of simply reflecting abstractly, Jung recommended techniques such as free writing and idea association. Suppose you are facing a major challenge in your life. Write about your feelings and then analyze the words and phrases that arise spontaneously. These associations can reveal unconscious patterns that help you approach the problem from new perspectives. Symbolic meditation. Unlike traditional meditation, which aims to calm the mind, this practice focuses on deepening into a specific symbol. For example, you might close your eyes and visualize a tree in a forest. Ask yourself what the tree feels, how it connects with its surroundings, and what it represents for you at this moment in your life. This practice not only stimulates creative thinking, but can also offer insights into your emotional and spiritual needs. Active imagination as a regular practice. As previously explored, active imagination is emphasized here as a regular practice to expand thinking. Imagine facing a difficult emotion, such as anger. Rather than repressing it, visualize it as an entity. Ask it what it wants to tell you and how you can work with it to resolve its origin. This exercise encourages a more collaborative relationship with the unconscious. Openness to external environment. In addition to these introspective techniques, it is essential to cultivate openness to the external environment. Synchronicity, as we discussed earlier, can be a guide in this process. Pay attention to meaningful coincidences and note them down. For example, If you repeatedly encounter a phrase or number, reflect on how it might relate to your current thoughts or emotions. This practice enhances your ability to perceive broader connections between your mind and the world. Expand your intellectual and spiritual horizons. Thinking beyond the ordinary also requires expanding your intellectual and spiritual horizons. Reading about mythology, philosophy, or spiritual disciplines from different cultures can offer you new frameworks for interpreting your life. Jung himself turned to alchemical texts, myths, and Eastern traditions to inspire his theories and enrich his perspective. By exploring these sources, you can discover parallels with your own experiences and unlock new ways of understanding your psyche. Finally, art and creativity are indispensable tools. Draw, paint, or write without worrying about the quality of the result. Spontaneous artistic expression is a way to allow the unconscious to flow freely into consciousness. This type of practice not only stimulates symbolic thinking, but also has a therapeutic effect, helping you release emotional tension and connect with your deeper essence. Thinking beyond the ordinary is not a goal to be achieved overnight. It is a continuous journey that requires practice, curiosity, and openness. By incorporating these tools into your daily life, you will begin to see patterns, meanings, and possibilities that were previously overlooked. This process transforms not only your perception, but also your relationship with the world and with yourself, leading you to a deeper level of self-understanding and creativity. Thinking in 4 dimensions, as Carl Jung proposed, is not simply an intellectual exercise, but a complete shift in the way we perceive and live our reality. It invites us to transcend linear thinking and explore a world where symbols, archetypes, and invisible connections shape our experiences. This approach not only enriches our inner life, but also helps us navigate external challenges with greater clarity and purpose. The key to this process lies in recognizing that the visible reality is only a part of a much larger whole. By integrating the tools explored, working with symbols, introspection, active imagination, and paying attention to synchronicity, we begin to see patterns and meanings where we once only perceived chaos. This shift in perspective connects us with our psyche, the collective unconscious, and the flow of the universe. Thinking in 4 dimensions goes beyond transforming our inner world. It reshapes how we relate to others. By recognizing that we all share universal archetypes and that our individual experiences mirror timeless collective themes, we cultivate a profound sense of empathy. This understanding fosters deeper, more authentic connections, allowing us to build relationships rooted in a shared appreciation of our common struggles and aspirations. Moreover, this perspective inspires us to live with purpose. When we see challenges and synchronicities as parts of a larger cosmic design, we shift from perceiving ourselves as victims of circumstance to embracing our role as co-creators of reality. In this way, thinking in 4 dimensions is not just about unveiling the invisible. It's about harmonizing with ourselves and the universe to live a fully aligned and intentional life. But the journey doesn't stop here. Now that you've uncovered the principles of 4-dimensional thinking, it's time to put them into practice. Reflect deeply, explore your dreams, engage in dialogue with your unconscious, and remain attuned to the signs the world offers. The invisible is always speaking. The choice to listen is yours.